time for the Freelance Report, brought to you by Maximus Health and Fitness, 130 East Main Street, Riverhead, and by Michelangelo's of Mattatuck in the Mattatuck Shopping Plaza on the main road in Mattatuck. Good morning, Gianna Volpe.
Good morning, Bruce Trio.
Woman is dressed to the not to the nines, but she's like dressed really well with the leather jacket,
to the 12s,
and the big sunglasses.
Yeah,
which is kind of like a trademark thing with you.
Yeah, it's
summertime.
Yes.
Not yet, but close.
So I'm very excited for the 25th show to be opening up the East End Music Update to East End Art Update. I'm toying around with the idea of doing themes every week. Pending sponsorship, we'll see. So we've got two art guests today. And our first guest is Stacy Quarty. She is she started Lucia's Angels and is also a leader in the Coalition for Women's Cancers at Southampton Hospital. This was a subject that sort of hit close to home for me. My mom got her lumpectomy last Thursday at Sloan Kettering. Anyway, Miss Quarty is leading the 6th annual bra auction and fashion show at Southampton Social Club next Thursday on the 21st. Miss Quarty, how are you this morning?
Good. How are you this morning?
Very well. So it was such a delight to talk with you. This morning's Southampton Press will have the piece about the reconstructed bra auction.
Great, that's terrific. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So what did you think of the coverage, and what are your thoughts on this year?
Well, we are hoping to make more money than ever this year. It seems like there's always more and more need out here on the East End for assistance with women with breast, ovarian, cervical, and uterine cancers, breast cancer being the most prevalent, unfortunately. But we're trying our best to assist those in the community that need help. And this year we are employing, or partnering with, I should say, because we're not paying them, the American Fundraising Foundation to help us with a live auction.
Stacy, let me ask you this. The statistic has been that it's 1 in 9 women on Long Island will be diagnosed with breast cancer. And years ago, there was a study done that showed that it was even more so east of the Shinnecock Canal and the South Fork. Do those stats still hold up?
Yes, they do. And, unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do about it. I think that over the years, one of my biggest concerns is the groundwater.
Right.
We live on an island. Most, people that live inland, the bedrock is a natural aquifer, and it drains out chemicals and things from the system. And we have a lot of, golf courses, etc., farms and things that have used pesticides, and those just sit in the groundwater. And if you don't drink it, we bathe with it. Sometimes we cook with it. It's just unavoidable.
The thing that's interesting is the Southampton town is embarking upon a lot of initiatives with filtering out nitrogen from the groundwater, particularly on some of the newer developments.
Right. But unfortunately, in some cases, the damage has already been done. It's already in our systems. But it would be nice if we could clean it all up.
So tell us about Lucia's Angels.
Yes.
What's that about?
Well, let's see. Where do I begin? I guess I would begin with Lucia. She was my best friend, and she passed away from breast cancer. Actually, the two of us were breastfeeding our newborn babies together when she discovered the lump.
Gosh.
She thought it was a blocked milk duct. And she said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, does it hurt? Because those blocked milk ducts really are very painful." And she said, "No, not at all." And it was growing very quickly. So I said, "You must go to the doctor right away." Unfortunately, it was a very aggressive stage 4 cancer by the time she was diagnosed. So she had a few years, and that's when she hooked up with Susie Roden, who was somewhat my frick of the frack. That's what they call us, frick and frack.
Right.
Susie Roden is vice president of Lucia's Angels, and I'm president. And she is president of the Coalition for Women's Cancers, which I am vice president. So the two of us work together. We talk together on a daily basis about many of our programs and things we're developing. But Susie Roden at that time was with the South Fork Breast Health Coalition, and Lucia volunteered with her when she was well enough. And she gave back so much to the community, trying to help other women and families on the East End with breast cancer. And when Lucia became very sick again, she kind of turned to me and said, well, you need to take over. And here's Susie Roden, and there you go.
Right.
So it was kind of passed off on me, and Lucia was such a giving person of herself and her time that she was surrounded by friends and family 24/7 till the very end. And she said it was her wish that other women and families could have that same kind of love and caring through the end stages of cancer, because a lot of time people are left alone, and they're left in terrible conditions in hospitals that are cold and barren and not welcoming to, those end stages. So that's why Lucia's Angels was started, to support late-stage women's cancers.
The interesting thing, you mentioned that, first of all, none of us gets out of here alive.
Right.
Not a one. On the other hand, I can't help but think that must be the worst thing in the world, is to depart this life in a cold, sterile setting with no one around you that you loved.
Right. Well, we're trying to prevent that from happening. We actually even built a Lucia's room at Southampton Hospital just 2.5 years ago, because Susie Roden and I were visiting some of our women that we had assisted them and their families through years with Lucia's Angels, and they were both in the hospital at end stage, actively dying. And it was a tough thing to see, the hospitals, the husband sleeping in a hospital chair overnight with a crick in his neck, and family and friends sitting out on the hallway and the floor because there was nowhere for them to be. Right. So we created this Lucia's room, which is very much like a hospice room. Lucia passed away at the Hospice Inn at Huntington, which is up the island, which was a beautiful setting and very welcoming. But Lucia's room incorporates a pull-out bed for guests, a computer workstation for guests.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful artwork. It's like a high-end hotel room, and it's very comfortable for family and the patient to make, those ending days as special as it can be.
That's unbelievable, and I remember speaking to Barbara and Wade West of the American Fundraising Foundation, and them just saying such great things, such amazing things about you and Susie.
That's so nice.
We've got women on fire out here, and how, you can go to places in the world where there are committees with 50 people that don't do half of what you and Susan do for the community. So it's unbelievable that we have women like you out here.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, we try, and we know our time is limited too. So we're doing all we can while we can.
Right.
Let me, years ago, there used to be like a lingerie show where like elected officials.
That was actually the South Fork Breast Health Coalition, which Susie Roden started. And the South Fork Breast Health Coalition has morphed into our Coalition for Women's Cancers at Southampton Hospital, which now incorporates caring for women with breast, ovarian, cervical, and uterine cancers. And then we morphed the lingerie show into the bra show, because we were trying to focus more on the breasts, the bras, because breast cancer is very big out here.
Right.
And we wanted to, change it up. And there are a lot of wonderful artists out here. We thought, let's do something with art, something with bras. Why not auction them off, have models wear them, make it fun, and the energy at this show is just amazing, and it's just such a great time for everyone that attends.
And Karen Mannix, who used to do the Birdhouse auction, right? She talking about morphing. She did the Birdhouse bra, right? Last year.
Somewhat, yes. It was a bra with a bird. It's actually on our promotional materials. Her bra. It was like, I think it was something called something nesting something, I don't remember, but it's a bird with these eggs in a nest, and it's very creative, and she comes up with amazing things.
Yeah, this year I think she's got the All About Eve with like
That's right.
Fabricated boa.
We don't have that many repeat artists, because we like to keep it fresh. We like to get new artists and new models every year. But Karen is one of the few repeats that we get again and again. She's been so supportive of Lucia's Angels and our coalition, and she's a wonderful artist and a breast cancer survivor.
Right. And actually, going back to what we were talking about in the beginning of the show, she was saying growing up in East Hampton, they would go outside and sit in the potato fields when they were spraying DDT, and the government was saying, oh, it's safe, it's safe.
Right,
But,
yeah, I can remember those clouds of, chemicals coming through the air, and we would play in them thinking it was fun.
That's crazy. I mean, she was talking about how the high incidence of actually brain cancer in our graduating class and out there. It's just, it's sort of unbelievable how little we know as a medical community, as an agricultural community, and it's worth questioning when people say,
unfortunately, big business, big money kind of shuts those things up for now.
Right.
So, we, on the East End especially, have to speak up about these are our health risks. They need to be addressed.
You have an event coming up on May 21st.
That's right.
The annual Reconstructive Bra Festival.
That's right.
Bra auction and
bra auction and fashion. I'm sorry.
Bra auction and fashion show. We have.
I feel kind of weird saying all this. You know that.
I know. Well, I've been saying it for years, so I'm used to it.
Yes, but you're a woman and I'm not.
Oh, well, you know what? Last year we actually had a man wear one of the bras.
Which is so cool.
Yes, Danny Zemo. He is a wonderful entertainer, drag queen extraordinaire.
I love it.
Oh, and he rocked it.
Oh, my God.
He was amazing. So, we get all kinds of people involved in the show. We tried to go for, crazy diversity to bring in, different aspects of the community to the show. Because, you know what? Breast cancer doesn't discriminate either.
Right.
There are actually men out here with breast cancer.
Yeah, I believe it. But anyway, the third year at Southampton Social Club, you're kind of hoping to open the back doors and have it spill outside. And Barbara and Wade West, talk a little bit about these 5 trips they're going to be bringing with them. Real quick before we go to the break.
This is stepping it up to a whole new level. I got a phone call from the American Fundraising Foundation this winter on one of the most dreary, cold, disgusting days. And it was so depressing. And they, called us and they told us a little bit about their business and their 2 retired news reporters that wanted to do something more positive. And they knew that they were both very talented with auctioning and personal skills. So they started their own foundation where they did live auctions for not-for-profits. They only choose a handful every year.
Right.
And we got this phone call out of the blue, and they interviewed us for 2.5 hours, back and forth, and, and we interviewed them too. But we finally found out that, we're a good match.
Yes. Well, we have to go to break, but we're going to have Barbara and Wade on the program next Thursday morning ahead of the event so that you can be free to, run at 1,000 miles an hour, getting everything together. When we get back from the break, we're going to have artist Paton Miller on to talk about East End Collected.
Oh, remind Paton, he has one of the bras in the show, so he should talk about it.
So that is what we will do as well.
Okay.
All right, you take care.
Take a trip to Italy without ever leaving the North Fork at Michelangelo.
Back on the Freelance Report, Gianna Volpe, brought to you by Maximus Health and Fitness, 130 East Main Street, Riverhead, and by Michelangelo's at Mattatuck Plaza Shopping Center on the main road in Mattatuck.
We are back with Paton Miller from East End Collected. Last few days of the exhibition, which had an unbelievable turnout. Paton, Good morning.
Good morning, Gianna. How are you?
Very well. And so tell me how the turnout was and what's going on.
Well, East End collected the exhibition I curated at the Southampton Arts Center on Job's Lane in Southampton, in that fine old building. And we have the whole building, and there's 50 artists in it, open on May 2nd. And we had about, they said they stopped counting after 700 people.
That is unbelievable.
So it's hard to say. I had like 200 conversations that night. So it's funny, you really don't get a sense of the crowd because you are focused on each person you're speaking to.
Right.
But anyways, it was a very exciting opportunity for me to curate an exhibition of these 50 artists, all from Hampton Bays and Montauk. Mm-hmm. And it could not have happened without the collaboration of course, the board and the director, Michelle Thompson, and her staff, but also all the artists went out like worker bees. And the concept of the show was to have all of the work coming from collectors. Well, most of it. There was a few exceptions. But so what I asked the artists to do was to go out and, because I can't be the only artist in the world who becomes good friends with collectors. It happens.
Right. It's a natural progression.
Right. So there's, you can call up one of those people and say, can I borrow a painting for this exhibition? And guess what? Collectors enjoy that.
Right.
So that's what happened. They all went out and got their works from the collectors, delivered them to the Southampton Arts Center, and it was my job then to put it into a cohesive group to hang it. And that's actually something I really enjoyed doing.
And it's cool you were talking about the different types of artists that you have there, and you have all different mediums. There's sculptures, paintings, drawings, all manner of and types of art. You were saying, some of the people that are exhibited aren't perhaps regularly shown.
Yes, we have quite a range of internationally renowned artists, all the way to an artist that I met, and Peter will have to forgive me because I really have a hard time pronouncing D, R's, and Z's together. Darnkowski, Peter, forgive me, I'm sorry, but go see his work at the Southampton Arts Center, because I met him he had a show at the Rogers Memorial Library. Mm-hmm. Now, it's a great place to show, but it's not a place, it's not the Metropolitan Museum of Art, right? Right. I walk in, and I walk downstairs, and there's work that should be at the contemporary wing of the Met. His work he's an artist that I call all in. I mean, this is a guy who I'd never heard of him before, never saw his work, and you walk downstairs, and I see this work that is completely committed. There's no hemming or hawing here at all. And this guy has a particular vision. And so I called him up and I just told him I liked his work. And then about a week later I realized he should be in this show. And that's the beauty of this exhibition, is, like I said, it ranges from Joel Perlman, who's 12 years older than I am. I'm 61, he's in his 70s. And so as long as I've been on the East End of Long Island since I was 21, I've heard of Joel Perlman. I've met him a few times, but I've seen his work. He's had a lot, and this guy is an internationally renowned sculptor and a great sculptor.
Oh, did he do the horses?
No, that's Hines Pagan.
Okay.
But Joel did. He has two abstract pieces that are just so elegant, and they're so perfectly made. He's a master. And then you have someone like Peter from the Rogers Memorial Library, and then we have everybody in between.
And it's cool because that the one piece that you were talking about from the gentleman who you saw at the library, mm-hmm. The sculpture that's nearby it, they sort of gel with one another.
They certainly do, and the energy of both pieces is like a cyclone, mm-hmm. right? So Peter, when I met him, he shook my hand for like 10 minutes, and he looks like. He sort of reminds me of the professor from Back to the Future.
Right.
Instead of going on in all directions, his hair goes straight up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a really interesting character, and in fact,
electrifying.
This whole experience for me has been just a joy. Mm-hmm. Like I said, from the board to Michelle Thompson and the board and the staff at the center itself and all the artists. It was like a real barn raising. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't, I curated the show, I organized it, I put the show together, but it could not have happened without all of these moving parts to work together. And so, like, for me, it was a breeze. It was a cakewalk. And then the interesting mystery element about this whole exhibition before it went up was what's going to come. Because I had all the artists go get the pieces. But I knew the artist, for the most part. And there's a few, like Peter, I didn't know him so well.
Right.
But I picked the piece because I saw it in the library. But I didn't know what was going to come. But what came across the board was great examples of all those artists' works.
And so interesting. I mean, you even had like a surfboard there, because I understand you're a surfer, which is an art form.
Randy Rosenthal, another internationally renowned artist, said to me, "This is like a surfer show." But you know, we live at the beach, so it's not surprising that a lot of people are surfers.
Right.
But I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No. Oh, please. Yeah, and actually, I remember you saying when I came to visit you to talk about it for 27 East, you were saying, I'm not necessarily a big fan of surf art. I think it's kind of cheesy, but you have two surf pieces. What make them different?
Well, we have more than two. We have Peter Spacek's.
I saw that there was like...
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
We have Peter Spacek's contributions, which is a surfboard with a painting on it of a largemouth bass. And then we have he has also two small wooden pieces that are these cubist pictures of surfers. And then we have Steve Miller, who has a surfboard with the iguana on it.
Right.
And then we have John Pomanowski's woodcuts.
I love those.
Those are amazing. I've known John for 25, 30 years. And right now, John Pomanowski of Montauk is doing the best work he's ever done. These works are incredible. Yesterday, I did a walkthrough with one of the world's foremost art historians. Look him up. His name is John Spike.
Okay.
Like the nail, Spike.
Right.
I've known him for a long time. We've been good friends for a long time. And he was blown away by John's
was he?
woodcuts.
I mean, I sort of was too.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about what these things actually are for our listeners.
Well, the reason I don't like most surf art is it's sort of patronizing and corny and sappy, and you know, it doesn't really capture the whole dynamics. When you're in the ocean, a lot of people look at the ocean from the beach and they see it almost flat, like a postcard. But when you're out there, those waves have fronts and backs and sides.
Right.
There are wedges of water coming in, and when you are a fisherman or a surfer or a sailor, you understand the dynamics quite well. And John, because he's a surfer and has been one his whole life, it was able to capture the dynamics and all the gravity of all this moving matter.
Right.
And a lot of times I find that surf art is just sort of like cloyingly trying to capture this sort of like Margarita. What was that song, Margarita Sundown or whatever?
Oh, I don't even know.
I mean, all that kind of, you know, and it's just sort of tired. I mean, I've seen it my whole life. I'm 60, like I said, I'm 61. I've been surfing since I was 5 years old. I grew up in Hawaii, and, you know, so I'm just done with it. But when someone like John comes along and captures what I love about the sport and what I love about the ocean, the moving dynamics of it, well, then that's something special. And in the medium of woodcut, which
is so cool. And it's
yeah.
like when you talk about surfing, and it's like it's the power and the depth. And these woodcuts, you sort of have to do it backwards because you got to cut out and then imprint.
Yeah, it's all negative. But also the John's sheer strokes with the chisel capture that sort of, it's almost like how Van Gogh would have all that energy. In fact, John Spike used to say, these remind me of a Van Gogh.
Wow.
And it's because the force of the stroke of the chisel creates added dynamic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, you know, it's talking about art is very difficult. It's best that the people go see it, and the show ends on Sunday. So if you're out there and you're interested, you should definitely go. And the hours are kind of like banker's hours. It's 12 to 5. So yeah. And then actually on Saturday we're having our closing party.
Oh, okay.
And this is very exciting because the museum will be open at night. It won't close at all. It'll go from 12 to the time that the great musician Nancy Atlas is playing at 7:30.
That is so exciting.
I've seen Nancy over the last couple of years, and I got to tell you, she's one of the best performers I've ever seen.
And I heard she had her fireside sessions over the winter.
She did, and it's a lifesaver. You know, I mean, you know, for a very modest amount, the tickets. Also, our tickets are $15 a head. I think in Bay Street they're 20, but it's not much money to go out and have a couple hours of a good time when you pretty much are going cabin nuts.
Totally like the queen of the East End music scene.
Oh yeah, and she earns it. You know, that girl rocks.
Right.
I mean, she owns that stage, and the musicians are they're just. You can tell they're all having. I told her, I said, every time I see her play, you're having so much fun. I wish I was a musician.
Right. great.
I mean, I know,
That's cool.
Yeah, I just sit there and go, God, I wish I could get on stage and play with him.
Well, I would love to make her acquaintance one day. And you've got another exhibition coming up yourself, right?
I do on Friday, just tomorrow. I have a group of work that will be at the Southampton Historical Museum on Meeting House Lane. It's only a stone's throw away from the Southampton Arts Center, and it'll be up actually for 3 months.
Wow.
It'll be the resident exhibition at the Sayre Barn. Which,
very cool.
Yeah, it's a beautiful barn that they restored, and I haven't finished hanging it. It'll be done. The curtain parts tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
And before we talk about something else, I would love to talk a little bit about that one unusual piece in the foyer, in the entrance, in the little wooden cube.
Yep.
Eric Ernst collected it. I forget the gentleman's name.
Nicholas Tarr. Now, Nick Tarr and I were actually in Italian Vogue around 1988. Isn't that amazing? And
That's crazy.
And so I thought of Nick because of Eric. Actually, Eric said to me when I was hanging the show, "What about Nick Tarr?" And I was going, "Yeah." I remembered the article that we were in together all those years ago. And Nick Tarr's father was, he's passed away, but he was a very well-known sculptor. And Nick has been, like a lot of artists, been working away, exhibiting, and then sometimes seemingly disappearing for times. That's just what happens with artists.
That's the artist, yeah.
And it's a real. There's now 2 of those. There.
Oh, okay. Oh,
He brought us-
really?
I said, yeah. He said, I said, wouldn't it be nice if we had another one? Because
Is it another one? Is it another?
Yeah, it's another whirly-gig Rube Goldberg machine. Yeah.
It's cool. It's really cool. It's a little cube, and you can view into this like little party-like universe.
In Nick Tarr's world. Yeah, and it's all done with refracted lenses.
Right.
And I said to Nick, I said, God, these would be great if they were really big.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he sees these small pieces, which are like the size of a birdhouse, basically as maquettes for larger pieces.
That's interesting, and they make me think of Dali's, really, because
Yeah,
when
I
you look
agree.
at a Dali, you think that they're huge, and then you see it, and they're quite small. Well, Mr. Miller, it was an absolute pleasure having you on the show this morning. Everyone, get out there and check out East End Collected at the Southampton Arts Center, and check out Into the Deep. Is that your?
Yes, that's the title of the show.
When we get back, we will put a bow on this.
Maximus Health and Fitness of Riverhead is 25,000 square feet of everything you need to create a new you. Maximus Health and Fitness, 130 East Main Street, has state-of-the-art exercise equipment, free weights, professional personal trainers, and private workout areas. They're next to the Suffolk Theater in the heart of historic downtown Riverhead. Use their child facilities, tanning stations, a hair salon, and smoothie bar with your membership at Maximus. Your membership also includes a full calendar of fitness classes like cross-training, weight training, boot camp, Zumba, spin, yoga, Pilates, and a lot more. Start a new, healthier lifestyle that you can stick with all year long. Join Maximus Health and Fitness, 130 East Main Street in Riverhead. Call 369-6293. 369-6293. Check their website at maximusriverhead.com or come on in to Maximus Fitness today. Maximus Health and Fitness, being healthy and getting in shape has never been easier.
Well, boys and girls, that puts a wrap on things.
Sure does. 25th show. East End Art Update this time with a little bit of music. And next week we will have Barbara and Wade West to introduce the bra auction next week.